Benedict and Gabby, congratulations to the two of you.
Thank
I
you.
watched all 6 episodes and I thought the series was completely emotional and riveting. So excited to chat with you about the series and have people see it when it's out on Netflix later this month.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I loved puppets growing up. My mom was a theater director, and we still
Oh,
have my childhood puppets that she would act out with me
Wow.
to this
great.
day. And of course, grew up loving the Muppets. I'm actually curious if you had particular series or films that you loved and were staples in your childhood. Gabby, what were your favorite childhood series and
You,
films?
you
I was
brought
about
this
to
on
go.
yourself. Um, I sort of skipped over the Muppets and went straight to The Shining.
Oh,
Um,
perfect.
no, that's not true.
As in that shining? The talking,
exactly.
talking hand.
Exactly. There was a show called Romper Room. Is this the question you're asking? What shows we watched when we were kids?
What you
Yeah.
connect with them
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. There was a show called Romper Room where kids just played in a room and romped. I was obsessed with being on that show and romping. Um, and I actually really discovered and got deep into Sesame Street later in life. One night, a little stoned, and the Johnny Cash just take
Oh,
your
wow, you saw
ones
that
to
episode.
town.
Wow, wow. That's a good one to start with.
So yeah, I came to it a little late in life because I was busy watching R-rated sexual thrillers when I was a young child, and now I have children of my own. So
Not watching R-rated sexual thrillers.
no, they've watched like 4 movies in their life, but a little bit of Sesame Street, and it's absolutely wonderful. I'm actually so cynical. When Eric walked on set for the first time, I didn't realize what it. I had no idea, and I just started crying. So the child in me is getting to form relationships with puppets now as a 42-year-old woman.
Heck yes. It's never too late, Gabby. Never too late. Benedict, what did you love growing up?
Kermit the Frog. I was a big Sesame Street kid, and Muppets as well. Yeah, fully on board and indoctrinated that well. Then Kermit was one of my favourite toys. He was also weaponized because he had 2 really hard eyes and long legs, so I could kind of swing around like an angry cave child. But what else? I don't know. I mean, I never really did the kind of talking to myself kind of weird thing. I mean, I did a lot of weird things. I'm an only child, so forgive me. But that didn't figure. But I kind of, and I didn't have a sort of interaction with them. My parents are both actors, so I was, similar to you, I was inured in the performing arts, but not puppetry until I was a little bit older. Really, my wife kind of brought it to me in adult life. She's worked with some extraordinary puppeteers in the shape of a New York company called Phantom Limb, Eric Santo and his wife Jessica Grindstaff. And yeah, I guess until this show came about, that was it for me in the adult world. And then as like you said, I'm older than you, but as a 47-year-old adult, learning to be a puppeteer on the hoof was just a joy, as is any kind of skill acquisition to our profession. A lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also very
One-
important, there is the alter ego. There's this shadow self, this real imagined acting partner, as well as the brilliant human acting partners. So it was important to have something outside of myself that was myself, that would work on a level that, yes, we've seen elements of it in different guises, whether it's Midnight Cowboy with a person, or Harvey or Ted, I suppose. But it's altogether a unique experience, this relationship, and the reason for it and how it comes about. This split psychosis.
Yeah, no, I love that answer. And some of my favorite scenes in the movie are when Vincent is acting with the puppets. It looked so cool. Well, last question for you, Gabby. I have to say, I grew up loving Uncle Buck and Sleepless in Seattle and Now and Then, 3 of my childhood favorite films. My brother and I literally watch Uncle Buck every time we get together to this day.
Cute.
I'm actually just curious what your favorite memories are of working on Uncle Buck really quickly.
Ooh, the day that they made the giant pancakes was pretty fun.
That is one of the best scenes in movie history.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And I just remember, it's a small moment, but I have a really sweet memory of John Candy sitting down next to me one day. I had sort of walked on set. I was, 6 years old, and suddenly they were calling rolling, and he just recognized that I didn't know what was going on, and he just sat down next to me and said, "Do you know what's going on?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Let's cut." he just put his arm around me. And I didn't have a dad growing up, and he just like lovingly explained to me what we were doing, and it was just a very sweet moment with such a big-hearted, wonderful man. So it's, it's not a funny one, but that is my most vivid memory of that set, just being taken care of by John Candy.
Wow, that's just a really beautiful little story. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love hearing that. Well, they are wrapping me. Congratulations again to the two of you. It was an honor to chat with the both of you today, and I'm so excited for audiences to see Eric when it hits Netflix later this month. The two of you are absolutely phenomenal in it, and I loved the final episode with your characters.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Abby and McKinley, so nice to meet the two of you, and congratulations on this series. I watched all 6 episodes and I thought it was completely riveting. And McKinley, you give a fantastic and really beautiful performance. So congratulations to the two of you, first of all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. I have to say, I grew up loving puppets. My mom was a theater director and she would do puppets for me. And it's one of my core memories as, a child. I also, of course, loved the Muppets. So I'm actually curious, in this series, it's, Good Day Sunshine. So what were those childhood series or films that were staples in your childhood that you loved watching growing up? Abby, what did you love?
Oh, that's so interesting. I mean, there were a million when I was a child. I mean, I'm the daughter of a theatre director, so I grew up with puppets and workshops and all the backstage. So I think there's an affinity for people who've grown up in those environments. But I grew up on all the kind of we had shows like Bagpuss. None of them ever made across the Atlantic in the same way. We had Rainbow. We had the Clangers. We had the Magic Roundabout. These were the kind of slightly sort of 70s hippie-esque kind of puppet shows, which, in sort of live animation, stop caption animation. So I think those were the shows I grew up on. But I think probably the bigger nod was there was that period of like workshop TV that did films like Digby, the Biggest Dog in the World, which was like they were sort of like 70s films or like so there was a kind of era of kids TV making that was very relevant. But those were the shows I kind of grew up with. But I progressed quite quickly to TV quite early on, I think.
Yeah. No, I love that answer. McKinley, what about for you? What did you love as a child growing up watching?
I love this question. I definitely remember like watching like Sesame Street and reading Rainbow and in the spirit of puppets, Lamb Chop's Play Along.
Oh yeah,
I loved Lamb Chop.
But then I was also like into like anime, so I watched like Dragon Ball Z and like Batman and all kinds of other things.
Did you have the Banana Splits?
Say it again?
The Banana Splits. Do you remember that? That was a show that was like half animation, half... Yeah.
I don't know that one.
Anyway, it was a show that was...
No, I love that. Yeah, I loved Lamb Chop and, of course, Sesame Street, too. Well, like I said, McKinley, I thought you gave a fantastic performance, and I love this being set in the 80s. Of course, your character has to go through a very difficult situation in his personal life in the series, but I'm also actually curious what you did in order to research the 80s to prepare for Detective Michael.
It's actually fun. I don't think Abby knows this, but like it's fun for me when I realized when the show was set because it was the year I was born. I was born in '84.
Wow.
I've lived in New York for a little over a decade. So I actually don't. This is one of the first jobs that I've gotten where I didn't actually feel like I needed to do a great deal of research. Like I've played a few law enforcement folks. Like a year before we started this, I was doing ride-alongs with detectives and cops in Baltimore and New York. Wow. So it's like, and I am Black, obviously, and I am queer. So like, there are all these things that align that give me sort of life experience that means I was ready to step into this show. It's interesting in terms of like how things come to you. I was doing a play on Broadway when this all happened, and like it all happened actually quite quickly. I like closed the show on a Sunday. I got married on a Tuesday, and then I flew to start shooting on a Wednesday. So like there was not tons of time.
Oh my God, that's so crazy! I saw your wedding photo on your Instagram too. Congratulations as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, they are wrapping me again. Congratulations to the two of you. I'm so excited for audiences to see Eric and Abby. I also have to say I love Shame. It's one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite Michael Fassbender performances.
Right.
I know you wrote that. So yeah, I just have to say that I think it's a masterpiece.
Thank you so much. I'll tell Steve that. He'll be pleased.
Oh, one of the best filmmakers of all time. Thank you both so much for your time today.
Thank you.